Hey everybody, Andy Agostini here, wanting to take you through some of the new BGM features in NHL 10. We'll go through that right now. So entering into BGM mode this year, we've added a bunch of new settings. As you can see, we have a season starting date, so you can now start at the NHL entry draft or during the regular season, at the beginning of the regular season, just like it was last year. We've also added the fantasy draft, and we have in our advanced settings a few more things, like you can turn off GM firing, CPU trades, waivers, trade offer notifications on and off, and waiver notifications, as well as you have the option to change the length of the actual GM mode. And we have a tutorial in the BGM mode that we won't go through here, as I'm going to be taking you through the mode, but you can turn it off and on depending if you feel like watching it a second time or not. So we'll just advance through. As you can see, this is our team select screen. You can select any team by just going left and right on the triggers. As well, you can it'll actually show you your staff that you begin with for each of the actual teams. So you can see that each team has a different staff to begin with, as well as there's different levels, so you'll have more staff if you're in easy, and you'll have less if you're in hard. Be the LA Kings. So as I said, there is a tutorial to go through. I'll be taking you through the mode and showing you all the new features, so we won't be going through this tutorial, but feel free, at the first time you boot up the game, the tutorial will be there for your selection, so that you can go through and check out all the features again using the new tutorial that we put in BGM mode. So as you start, we start you off, this is starting off at the entry draft. So it begins on June 19th. And it moves you towards the prospect game. We won't be playing the prospect game, but in the game itself there are 40 players that will be on both the teams, and those players are coming up in the upcoming draft. Now this prospect game will show up every offseason during your dynasty or your BGM mode, and from there those players will be the ones that you can select in the entry draft. And we're going to go to the entry draft right away, and there's a bunch of new features in here that I'm really excited about to show you guys. Now, as you have staff, you're going to notice that the staff actually tells you information about the players that were in the game, in case you don't feel like playing it. Depending on your assistant coach, he'll give you an overview of what he thought were the best players. Obviously, the better your assistant coach, the more likely the information is correct. So listening to him early on in Dynasty, when you only have like one level of assistant coach, probably the information is going to be a little more hit and miss than if you have all 5 for your assistant coach, all 5 levels. As you can see, we have a new phone system that comes up, and each time you see the phone system, you're going to be asked questions, or you'll be getting information from your different staff members. Here it's saying set up your trading block before you go into the draft. That'll let you have more concise offers coming to you from the other teams. We'll go in there. Now this is your team's trading block. We have 3 sections to the trading block, and you can move between the sections by hitting the Y button. And that'll let you go through the different sections. Now on the top section, you can click and enter to put on the trading block a certain player or draft pick from this year's draft. It shows you all your players in your system, as well as which players, their age, and you can see that from there. Now, if you don't put anybody there, you can always go down to what your team is looking for, and this is basically your way of saying, I'm looking for prospects, and you can move up the draft or the slider bar to full. And that means that teams, when they're looking to make a deal with you, they understand that what you're really interested in are goaltenders and prospects. And in that way, the offers are more tailored to what you want, instead of just getting random offers. Also, you're able to tell the other teams what you're willing to give up. So if a team is looking for wingers, and as it says here, prime age players, it will actually say, okay, I will trade a youth player for a 29-year-old player, which is a prime age player. And in that way, the offers are more concise. So when you get an offer, it's probably more with what you're looking for. And that was one of our new features this year. We really wanted to let the user have the ability to tailor what he's getting from the CPU. And the CPU is going to be much smarter in the sense that when they make an offer, it will be more like you see in real life when there's a lot of teams with surplus in defense. Well, that's a team that's looking to give up a defenseman to add scoring or to add a faster player. And that's what this will allow you to do. Now, if you keep changing it during the year, you'll start seeing the offers change as the season progresses. And obviously, as you play your games, you're going to notice things that you want to change about your team. This is a really good place for you to change the information and make it so that the offers coming in make sense to you and you get what you want. And of course, on the bottom, you'll notice that it mentions exactly what it is you're doing with each of the slider bars. And it allows you to understand everything that's in the slider bars. So let's just say that this is what we're going to go for. We're looking for centers, and we're going to look. We have centers we're willing to give up, and prime age players we're willing to give up, and we're looking for youth and prospects. So we'll go back, and now we'll enter the draft. So as you can see, we're drafting in fifth, and this will allow us to move forward now. And this year we have a new feature in our draft, and it will also be in the trading deadline, and works very similar to this. The idea that you can make trades during the draft. This is our transaction news screen. It's empty now because the draft has not begun, but once we get going, you're going to see phones come up. As your reputation goes up, and I'll explain more about reputation later, as your reputation goes up, you can get more and more phones. To move between the phones, you just slide left and right on your left stick. And that will allow you to go back and forth and look at the different offers and proposals. Now, it shows here that Tampa Bay is calling, and that they have a proposal, and that they have the second pick overall in the draft. So we're going to go take a look. So they're looking to get Jesus from us, and they've offered Ryan Malone. And as you can see,